this time, and I turned the oscillation off. So we've got it blowing right on the phone. We're going to try this out, all right? So y'all, sometimes when the phone heats up, I have no control over that, okay? I have no control over that. If it's going to do it, it's going to do it, but we're trying to mitigate that. Okay, we're trying to mitigate that so that we don't get interrupted by that. And I do know it is warm outside, but it's not, well, it's not uncomfortable. That's all I got to say. So let those notifications go out. While those notifications go out, I am going to go ahead and do our usual check on the other device. We are going to be going live on Patreon, okay, around 4 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays with our Bible study. So I wanted to get up here before that and give y'all this quick message about spiritual attacks, because they do decrease. And I did a previous newsletter, monthly newsletter, about how they do weaken. And I'm going to explain to you how and why, okay? Well, the why is pretty simple. The devil has no new tricks. And so I'm going to explain to you, you know, they increase during the very beginning of your walk with Christ, okay? And that's what happened to yours truly. I didn't realize that the attacks had increased, and then the Jezebel case study launched a physical attack. And again, God knew that was going to happen. God got us out of that. God had my escape route planned out, and boom, 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 okay? And so here we are, almost 3 years later, and oh yeah, bouncing back stronger than ever before, y'all. And a big part of that is because we have changed our lifestyle to strength training now, combating radio frequencies for healthier living. That's what it's all about. And so we have adopted strength training now as part of our lifestyle, and it's here to stay. It is here to stay. We are not going to get complacent ever again. And I'm going to go ahead and share with you all that I finally discovered what was going on with the hands. Yep, God revealed it to me this morning. I got to see the bruises are healing. I thought they were all the way gone, but right here in my hands, right there in my hands, I said, oh, okay, so now we know where to self-care. And that is what was causing a lot of the upper body tension, was the stress on the hands, because of there was just enough bruising. I mean, it was going away because it was like more like a medium gray color on its way out to that yellowish brown. And so we've got some arnica cream. And so I said, okay, we know where to put it. We know where to put it. All right, now. And then also learn how to stop grabbing things with so much force, because the strength is there. We've been strength training. It's there. Anyway, that out of the way. Okay, you all. I got to tell you, you know, spiritual attacks, okay, they increased because we launched our website in May of 2021. And I was still working at the toxic workplace as a receptionist. But a few months after that, God delivered me from there. And there were some survivors who booked session. And then I decided to take an even bigger leap of faith. And I did not get another job in the Matrix. I still haven't. And glory be to God, because He provides our every need. And so this ministry became my full-time job. And the Jezebel case study, I learned later on, sent a flying monkey to book sessions to see if I was aware of my autonomic nervous system. That was the only thing left to attack, was my physical body, because I did not know. I learned about the autonomic nervous system, the ANS, during my trauma training. And I knew that it was the threat detector, but I didn't know the intimacy of it as far as how it responds to external stimuli and then to us. So for a good example is discovering what was going on, because I could tell that my ANS was still stressing out, but I couldn't figure out what is it? What are we doing now? You know, I mean, we've made it all this way, and all the way to Texas, and I was like, okay. And then God revealed it, because I was wondering. I was like, what else is stressing out? Because I could feel when my ANS is responding. Okay, the nerves in our gluteal area, I could tell, and I was like, what is my ANS responding to? Why is it stressing out over this, over that? And I realized it was because not the use of the hands per se, but the type of movement in this area right here. A forceful push or pull, that would do it, or the slowing of circulation. And I said, okay, I get it now. But I didn't know all that at that time. So the spiritual attacks increased, and the devil launched a physical one there in June of 2023, when I finally left North Carolina, about a month after the Jezebel that gave birth to me passed away. And so the Jezebel case study offered me a room in her house, and I was like, you know what? I know I'm not gonna be there long. I said, I was planning to come to Texas, but anyway, I had a 2-year detour in Kissimmee, Florida. Okay, but now she's further south in the state of Florida than that, about 5-6 hours away. And so, that being said, I got confirmation in the physical what I was sensing in the spiritual. Okay, but all that crazy making that was going on in the house, the Jezebel that gave birth to me passing away, the Jezebel case study, playing head games, and so I didn't realize I was under a major spiritual attack. The attacks increased in that season. And so, with that being said, they also increased when I got to Kissimmee, Florida, and I finally got into a place for stability. I finally got into a place where I thought, okay, I got some stability, we can heal, we can figure things out here. And we did a lot of figuring out for about 1.5 years, okay? And then I had to hotel business trip it for a little while, about another half a year or so. And then I realized that I got to get somewhere, and I thought that I was going to get an RV, but a lot of monitoring spirits showed up during that season where I was at this little apartment complex, but it's a renovated hotel room, which is still a hotel room. But anyway, that being said, there was like 5 different monitoring spirits that came across my path, and they did tamper with some stuff, and they made lots of noises, and the spiritual attacks were through the roof, it seemed like. But we got through that. Glory be to God. We got through all of that, and then we made it to Laredo, Texas finally. When I first started camping outdoors, okay, there was several monitoring spirits that had been sent across my path to try and sabotage my belongings. But it's nothing new. So basically what happened when I got to Texas, those monitoring spirits, the attacks were decreasing because I'm getting stronger. I'm healing. Bruises are a lot, well, aside from the ones I found here and in my hand, bruises are gone. Okay, so I'm getting stronger. Things are returning to normal biologically. I'm more aware of my autonomic nervous system than I have ever been. I'm bringing that ANS awareness to you all as part of our movement combating radio frequencies for healthier living. And while we're doing that, thank you for the thumbs up, everybody. Thank you. Okay, because other fellow warriors need this testimony. Because the spirit, I gave you a really good illustration when we first launched the ministry, how spiritual attacks increased. Okay, and then I was in Florida, and then got to Texas. Okay, and when I got to Texas, the monitoring spirits, it was nothing new under the sun. So how they decrease is by us recognizing those patterns. Okay, we recognize those patterns. And as we get spiritually stronger, those spiritual attacks get weaker because it's nothing new under the sun. Nothing. Okay, because they will, and not only that, because we were camping outdoors, we took a lot of opportunities away from the devil to try and tamper with our recovery. And I said, okay, hold on a second. I see what they're trying to do. And it's the same old stuff. They got nothing new that they can try. Nothing. Because I'm not giving the devil and monitoring spirit, the narcissist, I'm not giving them access anymore. I've learned how to lock the tent. And of course, I keep my stuff locked up when I am not there to watch it. So I'm going to tell y'all that what they all tried to do is just simply keep my autonomic nervous system, the ANS, stressed out. That's all they were doing. All that tampering that they tried to do, the sabotaging they tried to do, was really just to try and keep my ANS stressed out. Because what happens when your ANS stays stressed out, that keeps the muscle tension there. It slowed down circulation, which in turn slowed down muscle repair and growth. And I have told y'all that part of the spiritual battle for the mind is the attack against our physical health, because the devil, the matrix, wants us to become dependent on man. So it wants us to lose our muscle mass. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to let him do that. Not anymore. We figured out that creatine is part of our lifestyle now. We don't have to take it every day, though. Okay, we learned that. But for a short season, the protein powder and collagen, okay, yeah, but that's not forever either. Okay, that was just to give us a boost, to get us going. And then I had to find out about the bruising that was still in my hands here. And once we did that, I'm going to tell y'all something. Whoa, major difference. Okay, I could tell in my eyes and everything. Okay, that, yes. And so the narcissists working together to try to keep tabs on us and try to be they try to be omnipresent, yes, but they can't. Okay, they can't, because we do catch on to what they're up to and all of that. So yes, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. By the way, I want to take a moment and ask, how are you doing, Chris, since the last time I talked to you 1 week with the email? Okay, let me know how you're doing. And the increases and decreases will match the pattern of narc activity. Thank you. That's exactly right. Okay, the increase and the decrease will match the activity. So if as they're decreasing, the number of monitoring spirits will also decrease. So we learn another way of moving in silence. Okay, and that is, if God needs us to get something, He needs us to get something new, He needs us to replace something, what have you, we learn to do so when we know there are no monitoring spirits around. Because if a monitoring spirit, the narcissist, sees you get something new, they don't want you to have something new. Okay? So remember that. Okay, you're a little better. Okay, good. Okay, work was excruciating, but you got through it. Okay, glory be to God. With God, all things are possible. And I'm glad that you're able to get through it. And we are going to do Revelation 22 Part 2 on Patreon after this live here on YouTube. I just wanted to get on YouTube and give y'all this quick message about the increase and decrease of spiritual attack, because it's going to do that. Okay, oh, yeah, and, okay, praise the Lord, you got tomorrow off. Yay! Okay, good day for some rest. And, I'm going to tell you, yeah, and that's why it's so important to remember that I have learned on this journey with the ANS healing that our thoughts really do control how the ANS responds to things. And as I do that, I realize that if we are stressed, if our ANS is stressed, then it's going to lead to that muscle tension that slows down circulation, which is what they want. Because if your circulation is slowed down, not only do you not get the nutrients that your body needs, but you also, it's going to be more challenging for your body's muscle to repair and to rebuild, especially in certain areas where it needs it the most. I was trying to figure out why this area was taking so long. I was like, wow, I'm muscle building here. Like, why is that taking so long? I realized, because my hand, there was still some bruising right in here. And so, yeah, we've got the arnica and self-care for that. And we just had to learn to loosen our grip on things again. I said, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was doing that again. But yeah, because we've been strength training. So it's like, we don't have to pick that up so hard. We don't have to force anything. We don't need to do that. That's stressing out the ANS. And so we learned to stop doing that. And it's like I have to relearn how to move gracefully again. Crazy, but that's the way it is. And so, okay, so do I do any mind-body exercises to connect with your body through your mind? Basically, not really. I just be very mindful what I tell myself. That's the big part of it right there, okay? As far as because I take advantage of when the spiritual attacks decrease, because yeah, I certainly do. That's when I know there's no monitoring spirits. When the spiritual attack decrease, and then they kind of like go away for a short time. Okay, that's when you know when you know there's no monitoring spirits around. You say, okay, hold on a second. This is when we go do this. This is when we go do something. This is when we improve something. This is when God has us get a lot more thing out of sight, out of mind of the monitoring spirit. Okay, ballet exercise. Oh, thank you. That's right, they are. Ballet exercises are good for posture and strength, absolutely. And mobility. Mobility also. And so that's where we're at, you all. And I just, like I said, I wanted to get up here before we do our Bible study on the Patreon channel, and I wanted to give you all this because of the simple fact that it is so important to understand that spiritual attacks is just part of the spiritual battle for the mind. And that's why we got to put the armor of God on, okay? We've got to put the full armor of God on and just know, because with God all things are possible. We're going to make it through everything. We already have. I mean, when I gave y'all the backstory there at the very beginning, when spiritual attacks were just like through the roof, the first few years of this ministry, it was like, wow, you know, and I reflect to connect, and I realized, I said, my goodness, because when I was in Kissimmee, Florida, monitoring spirits, boy, they were loud, and I know why. They were trying to keep my vagus nerve stressed out. And I said, okay, I see what they're doing. And so once we were able to get away from there and get to Texas, where we wanted to be in the first place, now things are leveling back out. Things are making better sense. Once I discovered that little bit of bruising still on the back of my hand, I said a whole lot more is making sense as far as how my ANS has been responding to things. And I said, okay, so how do you get rid of bruises in the hands? Well, you know, it's going to take time. Okay, but remember elevation, right? Okay, so you want to get your arms up, okay? And then of course arnica cream, arnica gel, Arnica montana is really great. Boswellia, frankincense, is also great. And then another herb, golden seal, is also an anti-inflammatory herb. So you've got some option there as well. And so you'll just have to, I'm not going to say you can't use your hands, because that's just not going to be, I mean, if you've got bruises in your hands, you're just going to have to take it easy and elevate. And then of course, ice pack, if you've got that, if you can. That would help. And then I was trying to figure out a way to keep mine out of the direct sunlight, and the best I can do is like in here, or I've got 2 shade walls. So I mean, we're doing the best we can. But I realized something when I saw them, and I said they're a medium gray, so that means they're on the way out. They're healing. They've been healing the whole time, just taking longer than they should be. So that being said, I couldn't feel that until after I saw it, and then I put the first dose of arnica cream on there, and I'm massaging it in there, and I was like, oh, okay, I can feel the muscle soreness there now. And I was like, okay, my ANS could feel it, but I couldn't until then. And so now I'm like, all right, we got this. And I'm going to tell you a big difference all the way around ever since I finally discovered that. And I said, glory be to God. See, God reveals things like that at his appointed time, because if he had revealed it before this morning, then I might not have been ready. Okay, I might not have been ready. And I think it's just a matter of other places in the body needed to be healed, first before he revealed that. So, okay, now, he said, you're ready for this. And so, my back has been doing fantastic, by the way. Yeah, we're just, getting rid of a lot of air pockets. And so we'll do and more during the Bible study. That's right. Okay, so you've got a monitoring spirit living above you. Ouch. So what is to your left behind the hut? What is that structure? Oh, that is one of the restrooms. That is one of the restrooms in the park. That's what that is. Uh-huh. Okay. I didn't realize y'all could see that, but yeah, that is that's one of the restrooms. There's several of them throughout the park and stuff. So there's that. Okay, everybody. So if you are experiencing a heavy dose of spiritual attack, just know that it will decrease, and then you're welcome, and that they will eventually weaken, because you will recognize the pattern and you will realize that it's nothing new under the sun, and that the devil only has what used to work in the past, where the devil and narcissists live in the past. Okay, y'all? So I look forward to seeing you over there on the Patreon channel here in a little while for today's Bible study. And you can unlock access and join us on the live for as little as $5 a month. We appreciate you. And don't forget, everything you all sow into this ministry goes right back into our growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. If you are not interested in that, but you would like to pledge a service grant / donate, as the world calls it, the information is in the video description below. The PayPal, the Venmo, and the Apple Pay information is there. Those are 3 different ways we accept donation, but I like to call them service grant because that's what they are. And so again, those go right back into the growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. So thank you in advance, always. And we are always accepting those. So, I mean, as any ministry does, right? Okay, there you go. And I only mention it every now and again because not everybody knows. Now you do. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Until next time, we'll show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.